The basketball conversation with Mark Wise. Last night, the opening night of college basketball, and almost everybody in the SEC got their season started. You've got Auburn playing Baylor tonight. And
big game.
Oh,
That's a big game.
Yeah. Opportunity for Auburn right out of the gate.
No question for both teams. I think maybe both teams are a little undervalued right now.
So let's bring it to the state of Mississippi, Mark. Let's start in Starkville, where Chris Jans comes back for season number 2. He coached and got every ounce of everything out of that team a year ago. Mississippi State, an NCAA tournament team in year 1 under Chris Jans. He's a heck of a basketball coach. They needed to add pieces that would allow them to be a better shooting team. They did not shoot the 3 well a season ago.
You're being kind.
I am. They do have one of the best players in the SEC returning, but Tolu Smith's out for a while. What do you make of Mississippi State and Chris Jans?
You know, I got to tell you, Richard, that I'm going to be curious to watch them tomorrow night against Arizona State. That game is in Chicago because I want to see what they're going to do in the absence of Tolu Smith. And it's my understanding he won't be back until maybe mid-January.
Yeah,
that's a huge loss. I mean, 15.7 points a game, 8.5 boards a game. They've got all the pieces around him. There's no question they were kind of built around him last year. They were painful to watch at times offensively, and I'm saying the same thing Chris Jans says. And I say that comfortably because I had them maybe 5 times last year. I think I lettered in Starkville last year. So that being said, the fact that he got that team into the tournament, such a dramatic turnaround in terms of the way they played. So I love all the pieces. I mean, when you talk about Moore and Jeffries and Matthews and Davis and Murphy and Jones, I mean, they've got a lot of the pieces, but I've got to see how they're going to do without the big guy.
What do you make of Chris Jans, the coach? Obviously has won at multiple places.
Right.
To take the pieces that you just referenced a second ago and turn that into a tournament team in year 1. I don't want to call it miracle work, but it wasn't far from it.
Yeah. Normally, and Richard, you've worked with me enough to know I'm an offensive guy. Coaches talk to you and you ask them what you have to do to win. We have to defend and rebound, defend and rebound. No, you don't. You got to be able to make shots. And the fact that that team couldn't make shots.
They defended and rebounded, though.
They defended and rebounded, no question about that. And so they are built that way. As a matter of fact, I think both Mississippi teams are going to be built that way with Chris Beard now in Oxford. So the ground floor for both of these programs is going to be defense, and they're going to try to work their way to being better offensively.
All right, so you mentioned Chris Beard, first year at Ole Miss, accomplished everywhere he has been. You want to go back to Little Rock, he won there. He won at Texas Tech. If he had stuck at UNLV, he would have won there, and obviously was winning at Texas before the sudden change in his career. That conversation seems to have settled, and he's just kind of come to Oxford and gone to work. Maybe start with big-picture thoughts on Chris Beard, the coach.
There's no question. His resume is as good as anybody's in terms of the number of years that he has been a head coach. I think he gets his team. They have a great gap concept defensively. They simply do not allow you to get feet in the paint. They are analytically driven on the offensive end. I think you'll see them take a lot of threes. I think they took 29 last night. In that win, they only made 7. Now, I chuckle because I read last night's recap, and it said balanced scoring. Well, you're going to have balanced scoring when you shoot 37% and 24% and you miss 13 free throws because nobody's going to score a lot. They'll have to correct that. But the nights that, Morrell goes 1 for 8 and Brakefield goes 0 for 3 from the arc in the league, Ole Miss, I don't care how good a defense you're going to play, you're going to lose. So that's going to be their challenge, I think, night in and night out. I love Alan Flanagan in terms of a physical offensive scoring threat. He's a little bit high risk at times. He'll have a high turnover total by the end of the year. I got to tell you, Richard, I think I had Ole Miss 3 times last year. I think Brakefield had at least 15 every night. Mm. And I saw where he really struggled last night. I'm telling you, he needs the Dr. Wise to come to town because he'll score.
I'm sure you'll make your way to Oxford before too terribly long. Ole Miss sitting there waiting, hoping. I don't know how real the hope is in terms of a couple of eligibility questions with the NCAA. You've been involved in coaching. Your son's been involved in coaching. When it gets to this point, the season has begun, and you're still waiting on news from the NCAA, does there come to a point where you just give up on that and say, okay, this is what we got. We got to go play?
I don't think you give up on it, but it's front burner, back burner. And the current team that you have to put them on the front burner. And the hope part that you mentioned, you have to put that on the back burner. Does it still, you'll always play around with, well, what if they get eligible? But I don't think you're going to spend a lot of time in staff meetings, planning practice, game planning, scouting reports based on those 2 guys. And they would make a big difference. There's no question about that. Murray's ability to score, Cisse's ability to be a rim protector, to go along with Sharp, to spell him. So from that standpoint, they could really help them. But I'm seeing a lot of 2-time transfer waivers being denied, and we'll see where that goes. Like there's another one in the league. I think LSU has Jalen Cook, who has been denied, and now LSU is appealing that. So, this is the transfer world that we're living in.
Yeah, and maybe you just hope for the North Carolina treatment where you trickle along for a little while, and then all of a sudden there's a change of heart because you got the Attorney General involved. I don't know. I don't know.
Get Billis involved.
Maybe that matters, right? He seems to swing a big stick with the NCAA. Last thing, in terms of people sometimes roll their eyes at the whole SEC, everybody should cheer for everybody else. But in terms of non-conference play, shouldn't that be the mantra for every fan base? Because you need as many teams in the league to win as many games as they can in the non-conference because of net rankings and what it can do for your schedule once you get to league play?
Absolutely. And here's the thing that I don't think people get. The only way that your net ranking improves once you get to league play is based on what you did in November and December. So the higher your base, quote unquote, is in the net ranking as a league, the more opportunities you have to gain points in the net system. So from that standpoint, November and December is critical. I mean, everybody says that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows about resume building. There are 2 kinds of games in November and December, in my view. There's resume builders, resume protectors. So you play these bye games. Like Michigan State lost a resume protector last night on opening night. You can't lose those, and you've got to win your share of the resume builders.
You excited about the from a fan standpoint, the SEC ACC challenge?
Oh gosh, yes. It's kind of a new era. I personally did not like the January, late January SEC Big 12 only because of the timing of it. It just seems so odd and out of place. This is a much better fit, and by having it in November on a Tuesday and Wednesday, I think you kind of gather the attention of the country on this challenge. And so, I think there are all kinds of interesting, marvelous matchups. Miami and Kentucky. I mean, those 2 have never played when would they play if you don't arrange this? And Tennessee at North Carolina. I mean, there's just all kinds of good matchups that I'm really looking forward to.
Mark, a pleasure to catch up. I look forward to seeing you soon. I wish you a happy basketball season and hope we can make this a regular thing during the year.
That'd be great, Richard. If I don't see you, have a happy Thanksgiving.
To you as well.